Here we have the Kyosho SandMaster Nitro. It might have a different name, but that's what I'm going to call it. I've got the stadium truck version and the buggy version. These are old, 20 plus years old. They got plastic chassis. So the difference here is that they're in different states of disrepair, disarray. This one unfortunately was damaged in shipping. Previous owner just shipped it in a box without any packaging or cushion, so it rattled around and broke apart. This is also one as well. This one's in pretty good shape. I could probably run it as is, but I would want to tear it down and rebuild it, just so I know. I've only seen these body mounts a few times. They're kind of cool. The exhaust is through the body here. Let's see if we can get this off. It's kind of hard. Yeah, these need to be trimmed a little bit. I've never seen these HPI wheels. The fronts don't have hexes. They call for bearings. So that's, obviously very early stuff. I'll show you guys later when I take the wheels off it, but the rears do have hexes. You can see that. Again, I'll show you guys when I fully disassemble it. But yeah, this one's closer to running. All these vintage plastic parts, so much flex. Be interested to see how it performs. The other one, the stadium truck, has a plastic clutch bell, which is something you haven't seen in a long time. This one's metal. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start by disassembling these two, so that way I learn the anatomy of the car, know what I'm getting into, and then disassemble this one and clean it and reassemble it. And then whatever parts are needed, I should have, and I'll have some extra parts too, so that's that. So let's get started by disassembling these. Gotten started on this one, and I am not liking what I'm seeing. This is pretty offensive. I would consider this blasphemy. I don't know how anyone could think that this would be acceptable. I almost punctured a hole in my hand because some clown used a drywall screw. Look at this mismatch, stripped. Look at the engine mount. It's just terrible. It gets worse the more you look. So yeah, needless to say, there'll be few usable parts on this one. Alright, this one's pretty much disassembled. There was a few broken parts. Unfortunately, one of the parts being the chassis, and that's just right here on this front top plate mount, if you will. The rear shock tower is broken as well, and there may be a few other things, and there was a ton of mismatched weird screws in here. Previous owner was not very smart. So we'll go ahead and finish getting the rest of this apart. I'm going to put all the proper screws in here. And I'm going to go ahead and also disassemble this one because the parts are pretty much identical. The only difference really is the shock towers and the wheels. So there's the buggy, the stadium truck, and then there's a monster truck version of this chassis as well. So yeah, we'll get all these disassembled and cleaned so that way we have some parts to rebuild with. These dog bones are absolutely terrible. The ones here aren't in any better of condition. They're twisted too. You can see that they don't line up. Some of the pins are kind of weak too. You can see how worn those ones are. So we'll be doing research to maybe find a stronger dog bone because the way these are twisted, it's no good. But let's finish getting this apart so that way we know what's broken and what's not so we can continue building this one. I also have a couple other things coming for this. So this is going to be fun. So let's get to work. Alright, now they're both apart. This one came apart pretty nicely. It's quite dirty, as you can see from the chassis here. On the engine and stuff, but yeah, this one wasn't nearly as janky as this one. There's a lot of MacGyvering on this one. Unfortunately, the transmission case has a broken piece there. This one doesn't. So I'm just noticing the little differences. This chassis could probably still be used if you put like a washer or something there. I think I still have the broken part in here somewhere. Yeah, right here. So this will still work if you put a longer screw through there. So we'll see. But I'm going to go ahead and get this stuff cleaned up and set aside as spare parts so we can move forward with this one. I think between the 3 units I'll be able to get a nice functioning one. Alright, so I got the engine of the stadium truck one apart, and unfortunately I broke the engine mount. This was the thing that I was most excited for too. It took basically zero pressure for this stuff to fall apart. It's just old, weak metal. That's unfortunate. And another unfortunate piece is that the rear seal gasket ripped when I was taking the back plate off. So that's a bummer. But other than that, it was pretty much all there. So we'll clean this stuff up and I'll have a spare engine for sure. This is something you don't see, is the old engines having both screws here on this old carb style. This is what we're used to seeing, is a missing screw and a mismatched screw. You can see the previous owner here was just not very bright. I don't know where the hell you even get those screws. And I don't know why the carburetor was messed with at this level. You can see even the idle screw is kind of stripped. So, you know, I think this one's more for, I'll probably just keep the block and the piston and the sleeve, get rid of the head and the carburetor. So I gotta figure out what tool I'm going to use to take these screws off, and I'll finish disassembling this. But yeah, I've gotten things ready to clean for the most part. So the inside of this transmission was good, but the case is a little janky, and it's missing this cross member piece. I thought it was broken, but it's actually, there's a plastic piece that goes in there to fasten to the chassis. So it's still usable. Maybe I'll sell it for, you know, pennies on the dollar to someone who else is also going through this project that needs these parts to continue. So yeah, just moving along. It's a little more work than I'd like. Can't wait to be done with this. Got some other cool stuff I want to get onto. So I'm gonna get this into a vessel. I'm gonna bring it down and we'll clean all this stuff, and then I'll get to this one later. I hope that this engine mount doesn't break the way that this one did. That's a real bummer. I did not put a lot of pressure on it either. Anyways, we'll get to this one. Alright, so I decided to disassemble the car one as well, just so I could get all the parts clean and start from scratch. I think that things are identical enough to not have that matter. And things are a little different in each car, so it'll be nice to be able to start from scratch and put everything together as it should be. And got plenty of parts to source from. I've also got another roller coming of one of these, so I think this is a good point to stop. We'll get all this gathered up, cleaned up, and come back and start with the clean slate next episode. So stay tuned if you want to see this car get finished. It's going to be pretty cool, so we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for checking out this Kyosho SandMaster Nitro.